group of students, different questions, I'm sure, and we'll talk about a few different things. One of the things that people have been asking me is, what are the next expeditions you have that's coming up? Well, one of them, in a couple weeks, I'm going to go to Panama City, Florida, and learn how to become a beekeeper. Why are bees important to our environment? Anyone knows?
Bees are important to our environment because they give us honey.
That's right, they give us honey, but what else do bees do?
Bees pollinate flowers, so if bees don't pollinate flowers and other animals, we probably won't have fruits and animals.
That's right, they do pollinate flowers. Now, quick question. What type of math do you think bees use in order to build their homes? You know bees use math? Do you know that? No? You want to take a wild guess which type of math they use? Yeah, the purple shirt. Multiplication,
Division,
division,
subtraction,
subtraction, plus, addition, algebra, you get warm.
calculus,
Calculus, little cooler. You got hot, little cooler.
fraction.
Geometry.
Oh.
Bees use geometry in order to build their homes. Now we're going to learn more about how exactly that works. How do bees communicate?
By doing dances.
That's right, by doing dances. Why do they dance? Why do bees dance? So they can communicate, but how do they communicate? Yeah, but do all the bees see the dance?
No.
So why is the dancing important? I'll tell you why. This is why STEM is important. The way bees communicate is correct, through dancing. But what's special about the dancing is that the dancing sends a certain vibration through the spine of the honeycomb. That vibration sends a signal out to everyone inside and let them know if there's an urgent situation or not. The vibration, based on the geometric designs, is how they're able to communicate. Isn't that cool?
Yes.
Now, let's talk a little bit about sustainable cities. That expedition we did in Shanghai, China. How many people live in Shanghai, China? Do you know?
1,500?
1,500? 24 million people live in Shanghai, China. So, for example, you guys have heard about New York, right?
Yeah.
New York only, I think, has 7 million. I could be wrong, but I think it's like 7 million people that live in New York. Shanghai has 24 million people. So why is sustainable cities important? What's so important about sustainable cities?
It's so important because sustainable cities is that each city has different people and kinds of other stuff.
Yeah, so trying to get everyone from different cultures to live together, but what else? Not sure?
Uh, what is the problem with that? What if some people from other places they don't like the food that's there, so they're gonna have to create food that's
Yes, the types of food, but when we talk about sustainable cities, think about it. You're in a city with 24 million people, so there are people everywhere. What do you do with your trash? How do you recycle? How do you create homes, right? How do you create homes for families? How do you design cities? How are you able to not harm the environment? Because what happens? What happens, for example, in Singapore? Singapore was a rainforest. They cut out 50% of the rainforest so they can build a city. What does that do to the animals that live there? What does that do to their habitat? Destroys their homes. What else?
It makes it so that animals can't live there.
Animals can't live there anymore, right? Animals now have to learn how to work around human beings. So when you build a system, what about energy? For example, in some of the hotels that I went to in Shanghai, they're building the second tallest building there. I think it's almost done now. But for example, the hotels you stay in, you use your room key, and your room key controls all the electricity. So when you leave, of course, you have to carry your room key. You take it out the slot, all the power turns off. That way you conserve energy. When you come back, you put the room key in, all the power comes on. Because some people, when they leave a hotel room, they leave their computers on, they leave the television on, they leave the lights on, the light in the bathroom they leave on, and they waste a lot of energy. What about alternative resources? Right? What different types of energy can we utilize in order to cut down on pollution?
You can use plastic.
Plastic? No. What's bad about plastic? Where does plastic eventually end up?
If it burns up, it pollutes the air.
It does pollute the air if people burn the trash. That is true. There are some countries I flew to where they were burning the plastic. In a lot of countries, the native thing to do is to burn your trash. No problem. But the problem is when you burn plastic, it actually pollutes the air. It pollutes the atmosphere, okay? Now, go ahead.
Plastic also goes into the sea like
That is correct. Plastic ends up in the ocean. And what happens when it ends up in the ocean?
some animals, like they were curious and they would go by the trash cans and like get stuck in it and they can't figure out how to get out.
That's correct. So some animals get stuck. Have you guys ever seen the picture of the turtle that got caught inside of, those plastic rings you'll see around soda cans? And at the waist, it's really small, and then the rest of the body is normal size. And they got trapped as a baby. You know what else plastic does? It breaks up in the ocean because it turns around in the ocean, gets spun around and rubs on different things, and then it becomes part of the coral. And fish also swallow these small pieces of plastic, and that hurts the environment even more.
It can also help. It can also really hurt animals because when you actually throw away a plastic bottle on the back of that, it can actually look like a jellyfish to a turtle, and they might actually want to eat it.
Correct. A lot of animals in the ocean actually end up eating plastic products, which harms them. This is when you buy those soaps and it has the little plastic balls, the little beads inside there?
Oh yeah.
You know where that ends up? In the ocean. They're now working on a way to stop this. Okay? What about water pollution? Look at what happened in Flint, Michigan. Look at what happened in California. It's a lot of water pollution. We're running out of fresh water in certain parts of the world. All right?
It hurts the animals too because the pollution is getting their skin and really actually when they go up to the surface, they really actually boil them really hot.
Correct. Plastic also, it's not 100% proven yet, but some scientists think the increase in ocean temperature has to do with a little bit with the plastic as well. So do you know there are in different parts of the ocean, so for example, the currents, there's a swirl of trash here. There's a swirl of trash here. There's another swirl of trash here. There's another swirl of trash here. And guess what? It's at different layers. Some of the trash is at the surface of the ocean, and others are underneath, and they're just swirling around. So now there are all these cleanup efforts in order to fight against that. Let me share with you another expedition we're planning to do. We're going to highlight, let me see, one I haven't told. So another one we're going to work with NASA and talk about space exploration because they're now building new rovers, new vehicles that human beings will utilize when they're on the surface of Mars. So we're going to test drive one of those rovers on a replication of the surface of Mars in Houston, Texas. Another expedition we're going to do is, we're looking at this real closely, but have you guys ever heard of zombie creatures?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are zombie creatures? What are zombie creatures? No, it kind of warm.
They're like creatures that are just like that, or better like zombies that are like creatures that have a learning or they can
So they are creatures that are able to control other creatures. So for example, there's a certain wasp, for example, that would lay its eggs inside of certain caterpillars or ants, and it will control that creature until they give birth to the wasp. Right? But you talk about cells, you talk about right genetics and how does this actually work. For example, animals aren't the only ones that do it. There's a certain fungus that can control ants. It grows inside ants and then it blooms. It like literally a flower grows out the body of an ant. It blooms and then it passes on to another creature.
There's also this, I forgot what it was, that it goes inside the snail.
Correct. That controls the snails. That's correct. So you have creatures that can control snails, cockroaches, and so forth. It's really, what about human beings? Can human beings pick up a zombie creature?
Yeah.
No? Oh, you'd be surprised. Absolutely. What's a common place for that? Some of the caves that you go in carry parasites and so forth that can enter your body, and some of them can even live inside of your brain. What happens if they do that? You could die. Do you know, for example, there's a parasite that attaches itself to the tongue of a fish? So the fish continues its normal life, and it eats other, it eats other fish and so forth, or it would eat bugs. Now, this parasite is still on the tongue of the fish, and why it's on the tongue of the fish is that it's slowly sucking the blood out of the fish. So eventually, what happens is the fish's jaw starts to deteriorate, and then it doesn't survive anymore. Right? But this is nature in action as relates to survival. Okay? Next question. Let's see, we'll jump into some questions. Go ahead. No worries. I'll come back to you.
Do you have any other ways to save the planet?
Do I have any other ways to save the planet? Actually, there are a lot of great organizations that have some amazing ways to save the planet. So, for example, one of the activities we're going to do with the bees is, do you know you can build a home for bees in a safe way? Do you know you can do that? So that's going to be one of the activities. There's so many different ways to help not only animals, but to also help human beings. And you just look up different organizations online that have all these various missions. Go ahead. Yeah.
And there's this other kind of animal, it's a snake, a cobra, it moves its body around, and it has like this thing in its eyes that makes it spin in a circle, and it can control people and other animals.
Oh, I have to look at that one. So, like the cobra, for example, can the cobra hear music? You know when you see the guy playing,
Yes.
can the cobra hear music?
Yeah.
Snakes have ears?
No. No.
Do snakes have ears?
Yes. No. Yes.
Can a cobra hear the music?
Yes.
They feel the vibration coming out of the instrument being played. This is why STEM is important. Now you guys are going to look this up. So this is one of your homework. Does snakes have ears? Now you're going to look this up.
People can die because usually some of the sweet.
Yes.
Is there many different ways to take away your snake venom?
Are there different ways to take away snake venom?
Yeah.
What is the only way you can capture the snake venom? Do you know? Where's the venom injected from?
The venom is injected from his teeth.
Right? Its teeth, also called fangs. Fangs. What's the difference between venom and poison? What's the difference between venom and poison?
A poison could kill you, but venom can't.
Oh, no. No, venom could absolutely kill you. As a matter of fact, in a lot of cases, venom can kill you faster than poison in quite a few cases. Right? What's the difference between venom and poison?
The difference between poison, it takes a couple of seconds to pass out and die.
Poison takes a couple of seconds? No. See, this is why science is so fun, so you can learn these things.
Venom is way faster than poison because...
Venom is way faster than poison? Not necessarily. For example, the cane toad in Australia. If you swallow, if you ingest the poison, you will immediately suffer a heart attack. As a matter of fact, a lot of creatures that try to eat the cane toad, maybe the cane toad makes it to halfway in its mouth before they suffer a heart attack and die. So that's not necessarily true. Here's the difference. Venom is effective only through what? The bloodstream. So for example, if I took venom and rubbed it on my skin, unless you're allergic to it, nothing will happen to you. But if it's in your bloodstream, that is when it takes effect. That's what happens, right? It cycles through your heart, and it's being transported all throughout your body. Now, poison could be something you ingest, or poison could also harm your skin. That's the difference between the major difference between venom and poison. Let's see, next question. Who has an answer question? All right, all the way in the back.
Why do different animals have different types of venom or poison?
Great question. Why do different types of animals have different types of venom and poison? Well, it depends on how they evolved over a period of time. For example, one of the places I traveled to was Palau. Palau is an extreme place. Why is it extreme? Because it's the deepest part of the ocean is located in close proximity to there. So it's an extreme environment to survive. So one of the things that affect, how potent a creature is depends on their environment. How difficult is it for them to survive? How difficult is it for them to capture their prey? Over a period of time, these creatures evolve and produce in order to better to adapt and survive. That is one of the reasons. Genetics is also one of the reasons as well. Do you know the same way we have DNA, a snake also has DNA? Right? They also have blood. That's one of the factors. Let's see. Who hasn't asked a question? Go ahead.
What was one of your first expeditions?
My very first expedition was I think Alaska. Alaska was the first one where we worked with glaciers and we also went dog sledding.
Claymore?
She's not in here right now.
Okay, thank you.
How is it different to be killed by venom and poison?
What happened?
How is it different to be killed by venom?
How is it different to die by? Well, I could answer it, but it's better if you probably look it up online, because there's a lot of factors that plays into that. And what's the name of the type of individual that studies that? Begins with the word toxic. Do you know there's a career field that begins with the word toxic? What
Toxic thing?
toxic? No, what's the name of the career? Oh, homework number 2. That's homework number 2. Let's see good. Toxic waste? No.
Toxic scientist.
Toxic, but there's a real term for it. That's homework number 2. Homework number 2. All right, next question.
What was the first place you traveled and when you started doing flying around the world?
What was the first place I went to when I started flying around the world outside of the United States? Was Canada. Then from Canada, we went to the Azores. You guys know where the Azores is?
No.
You know, it's like Hawaii in the North Atlantic.
Oh, yeah, guys.
Azores is right here. It took me 12 and a half hours in my single engine airplane to fly from St. John's, Canada, located here. 12 and a half hours to fly to the Azores here. Middle of nowhere. Okay?
Have you ever had any trouble while you were in your plane traveling to other places?
Have I ever had any trouble while I was in my plane traveling to other places? I got caught in a sandstorm when I left Luxor, Egypt, and flew over Saudi Arabia. Right? I got caught in a sandstorm there at 17,000 feet. Yes, sand could go that high. It was a very close experience. You see this? This is the Aleutian Islands that leads up into Alaska. I landed to the second to last island, and I landed with 12 minutes of fuel left in my plane. Because I had to deal with icing, so I was climbing and descending. I had to fly around different places. Landed with 12 minutes of fuel left in my tank. Let's see, who didn't ask the question first?
Well, you were flying a helicopter around the world. Did you get to eat anything or drink anything?
While I was flying around the world, did I get to eat and drink things? Yes. However, when you fly from one country to another, they will not let you bring, like, I can't bring strawberries or peach. They will not let you bring food from one country to another. Why? Why do you think that's the case? Why do you think that's the case? Let's see. Who hasn't? All the way in the back. All the way in the back. Yep.
Because it won't make me get, like, it made me get not good anymore. It wouldn't be
Not good anymore? No. Why do you think? What can food carry? Think about it. What can food carry?
Food can carry germs.
Germs, but what else? What else can food carry? Think about it. Think about it. All the way in the back, right here. Yep, with the pink glasses. What else can food carry?
The back?
Huh?
The back?
What else?
Food can carry poison, not poison, but something that can make you.
Oh, you guys aren't thinking.
I know
You guys aren't thinking. Okay.
it can carry bugs.
That's right. It can carry bugs that harm other crops. All right? Now, when I fly with another pilot, interesting fact, when I fly the flying classroom jet, that aircraft requires 2 pilots. And when we fly, we never eat the same food. Why do you think we never eat the same food? Young man right here in the glass.
Because one of you guys might be sick.
That's correct. One of us could get food poisoning or get sick in some way. So we never eat the same food and never eat from the same restaurant. That way we protect ourselves. That way you don't have 2 pilots that's sick, you only have 1 pilot that's sick. That's what we do.
How many years do you have flying?
How many years have I been flying? I think 13 years now. Let's see. We have time for what? 1 or 2 more? Okay.
What is your favorite, flying the airplane or the helicopter?
What is my favorite, flying the plane or the helicopter? The plane. I like to fly really high because you can start to see the darkness of space meet our atmosphere. So when you get up like 45,000 feet, 48,000 feet, 51,000 feet, you start to see the darkness of space meet our atmosphere, and it's so cool. Now, when we fly that high, And if we had rapid decompression, what would happen to the human body? So if we lost pressurization in the plane, what do you think happened to the human body?
You can suffocate.
You could suffocate, yeah, but what else happens to the human body?
You can start floating around.
No. You won't float around. What else would happen?
You lose air.
You'll lose air, yes, you'll pass out, but what happens?
Your body will stop working.
Your body will explode. Which way will your body explode? Inwards or outwards?
Outward.
Outwards is correct. Why does your body explode outwards? What gas do you have inside your body that causes that reaction? See why science is important? What type of gas?
Oxygen.
Yeah, but what type of gas inside your body?
Oxygen.
No?
Radioactive.
Radioactive? No? You ever heard of a gas called nitrogen?
Yeah.
Yeah, see why this stuff is important? That's why it's important to know math and science. When we fly a plane, we don't just jump in the plane and say, hey, let's go here, let's go there. It's a lot of planning and a lot of preparation. I know there's a few more questions, but I have to end the webinar now. But thank you guys so much. I enjoyed sharing with you guys, and I look forward to coming. Would you guys like to see for us to fly back again in the helicopter?
Yeah.
We'll work on that. We'll work on that again. All right. So thank you guys very much. Thank you.